Okay, let's get started. Thanks everyone for joining. This is AGL Tech Day. As you'll recall, we started this AGL Tech Day last year during, the last couple of years during COVID. And the idea is that we're having a curated list of speakers, specifically some expert group updates from some of the top leaders and contributors from AGL. And so welcome to AGL Tech Day, and thank you for joining us. We have a great speaker lineup today, 11 speakers, and we also were very glad to welcome the ELISA project. They will be giving us an update. It will be a video recording, but nonetheless very important to get an update from ELISA and what's going on with the functional safety regarding Linux and automotive. So we're looking forward to that. To get some business out of the way, all of the AGL meetings are subject to the antitrust policy of the Linux Foundation. So every member that is participating today must be familiar with this antitrust policy and must not discuss business strategy, etc. The antitrust policy can be found on our website at this URL. Okay, with that legal stuff out of the way, let's get started. I just want to start with a COVID-19 update. Certainly, we hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. We, at least in the North American area, United States specifically, we've really started to open up. Shops, restaurants, etc., bars are all open. We realize that it's not like that everywhere yet, but certainly a step in the right direction. And we're very glad to report that AGL is still very healthy, despite 2 years of very difficult environment and the inability to meet in person. But that hasn't dissuaded us from continuing the mission, and AGL is doing quite well. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully in person in the next several months during 2022. We have several events planned this year, so we're going to talk about that in my presentation a little bit later. So during COVID, we've actually had really strong membership growth. This is, we're quite happy about this. We have some big names that have joined. Nissan, Ford recently rejoined AGL just a few weeks ago. Amazon AWS, big supporter of AGL, recently joined at Platinum. SoftBank, Morelli, Red Hat, Yazaki, big names in the industry, not just automotive industry, but also in Linux, open source, and also this trend of cloud-based software, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So we're glad to see the growth is continuing. We started COVID with 11 OEMs, and we're coming out of COVID with 11 OEMs. So that's really good. We have, of course, a good dispersion of members from the different geographies, namely, Honda, Mazda, Mitsubishi, Nissan, Suzuki, Toyota, all from Japan, Ford from the US, Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen from Germany, Hyundai from South Korea, and SAIC from China. So we have quite a nice geographical representation. We're still at over 150 companies. We did have some companies drop out due to COVID and business climate, and we had a few startups that were struggling financially, but we made up for those that dropped, more so in terms of the new members that I showed. So very healthy in terms of membership. We continue to do 2 releases per year, every year, and even through the COVID period here. We've released, the last couple released Cauchy Koi, Lucky Lamprey. And the point of my chart here is that, we make 2 releases per year, and we do those like clockwork. And, the industry depends on those releases to, update their software base, et cetera. So our plan is to continue this trend, and we're proud to announce today the release of Magic Marlin, which is AGL UCB 13 already. Time flies. But yeah, UCB 13 was released on March 30th, but to coincide with AGL Tech Day, we actually did a press release to announce this today. So go check out the press release. It should be on all of the major media outlets. And you can find the release notes online, and Walt Miner will be giving a detailed presentation on the roadmap following my presentation today. So you'll be touching on this for sure. I want to just talk about some of the software trends that are going on in the industry, and how AGL is really well positioned for these trends in 2022 and beyond. And so let's talk about that. First of all, we're seeing more and more powerful SOCs. What that means is, SOCs that not only have better performance per watt, but also more cores, integrated peripherals, better graphics. Really, these SOCs are becoming just amazing. And one of the trends is the consolidation of software in the cockpit on single SOCs. And AGL has actually been demonstrating this for several years at our events. But we do have a virtualization expert group that is standardizing virtualization interfaces such as VirtIO to enable this cockpit consolidation trend, so that we can have IVI, instrument cluster, HUD, all on the same processor running side by side. But another really, really cool use case is the ability to run both Android and instrument cluster side by side. And why is that important? Well, because let's face it, some companies have decided to choose Android for infotainment. We'd rather they choose AGL, but they've chosen Android. But that doesn't mean they still can't use AGL for instrument cluster and other functions in the vehicle. And they could run those side by side using a virtualized environment. So we think this is a trend that is happening, and that AGL is already well positioned to handle. Another trend, and this is a painful trend, it's the growing software complexity in automotive, not just automotive, just in every industry vertical, but automotive especially, because the explosion of software for the vehicle is really evident in the past few years. And one of the expert groups that we have recently started is Container and Service Mesh Expert Group, being led by Amazon. And the goal is to really standardize the deployment of software for vehicles and bridge the gap between the embedded world and the IT world, so that we can attract a new generation of software developers that are more used to things like deploying via containers, managing software in an IT type environment, not in an embedded type environment. And this would really simplify deployments, upgrades, and continuous updates. And so we're really glad to see this this expert group, tackling this trend for AGL. Another trend is that the lines are blurring between embedded IT and cloud. And what we mean by this is, there's a lot of features are being pushed into the cloud, and as long as you have a very fast data connection, a lot of the functionality and computation and data can be stored in the cloud. And this is a very valid trend and a very valid use case for automotive software. And AGL is positioned to handle this trend with 3 different expert groups: the Vehicle to Cloud Expert Group, Container and Service Mesh Expert Group, and the Virtualization Expert Group. And all of these trends really are culminating to what I like to call the abstraction and cloudification of the vehicle. And you know, at AGL, we're right in the middle of this and right in the thick of things, and we plan to you know, continue working on this. And another trendy development is the term software-defined vehicles. And there's a lot of hype around this term. But, you know, AGL has been addressing this for over 8 years. If you look at my slide here on the right from 2015, we already were saying to the world that, you know, every function in the vehicle, especially the cockpit, will be defined by software. And really, with this cloudification effort and some of the trends that I just talked about in the last 3 slides, we've already been working on this. So don't get you know, caught up in the term and the hype. AGL is developing software-defined vehicle software. We always have been. And one of the key advantages that AGL has is that we're working closely with other Linux Foundation projects all under one roof, such as Yocto, ELISA for functional safety, CNCF for cloud-based, cloud-native applications, all under one roof. And so we're perfectly positioned for this software trend and software-defined vehicles. And, you know, I'd like to stop the hype around the term because I feel like AGL has already been doing this for many years. Okay, let's change gears and talk about some of the events for 2022, and cross your fingers and hope that this is the year that we get back to in-person events. We just had a virtual workshop, April 5 and 6. So thanks to everyone that joined that, and special thanks to Walt Miner for being the host and MC at 2 in the morning until, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, I think. So thanks to Walt for that. The next workshop will be May 17, 18, 19 in person in Berlin at the Mercedes-Benz Ambition office. So if you're interested in joining, space is extremely limited. I believe we have a limit of 30 people due to the, you know, safety concerns and the size of the room. So if you want to join, you must submit your name on the wiki, the AGL wiki. We're also planning to attend Embedded World in person. This is happens to be the last conference we attended before COVID started, and we plan to attend in June this year. This was rescheduled from March due to COVID concerns, but it seems like it is going ahead this time. So we will be there June 21st, 22nd, 23rd. And we actually expanded the size of our booth this year. And we do have room for a few more demos. The CFP actually closed, but if you're still interested in joining, you can contact us and see what we can do in terms of making space for a demo for your company. The event everyone's been waiting for is the AGL AMM Summer. It will be hosted and held in Honolulu, Hawaii, at the Hilton Hawaiian Village, which is the actual hotel I'm showing here in this photo. So we hope you can join us for this. This will be our first all-member meeting since COVID began, and it will be July 12th and 13th for the main event. And we will have a board meeting the day before, and we will have also expert group and system architecture team meetings the day after. So please join us for that. Later in the year, we're going to have Automotive Linux Summit, which is December 5th and 6th, which is in Yokohama, Japan. This will be co-located with Open Source Summit Japan, and we do have sponsorship open with demo kiosks available. So you can check out the website that I've listed here for a prospectus. And if your company is interested in providing a demo that uses or shows your products or services using AGL, please do so, and you can submit your proposal online. And then finally, our biggest event of the year will be CES 2023. I say of the year because it is at the very beginning of January. So we consider all the planning and so on to be part of this year. We've procured a really, really good location this time. It's a really nice booth, 80 by 40 feet. And we're planning to have, up to a dozen members that can participate and show demos. So stay tuned for details. We're going to be opening the CFP for this, and you can submit a request to have, a demo table for the booth. This is what the location looks like. We're in the really the best location for automotive. It's the Transportation and Vehicle Technology Hall. And as you can see, sorry, went too far. As you can see, we're close to major automotive names such as Toyota, Daimler, General Motors, Hyundai, Aishin, Qualcomm, Amazon Automotive. We're going to be right in the thick of things in terms of automotive tech. And so AGL is right there in the green. So if you're interested in joining us, please submit a proposal. Okay, so a few more AGL updates before we move on. We are expanding AGL development options. As you know, probably know, we have an expert group called the Reference Hardware System Architecture Expert Group that over the past few years has designed a reference board, which is the sandwich, we call it. And the sandwich has basically a controller board with the SoC and then the peripheral boards that plug into it. The idea was that we would come up with different SoC vendors. Well, that's our plan for the second half of this year. We currently support the Renesas SoC, the RCAR, but we plan to add support for the Qualcomm SoC in the coming year, so in the second half of this year. So if you want more detail about this, there's a Confluence page on automotivelinux.org. And speaking of expanding AGL development, we're also expanding to the cloud. We're planning to port AGL to AWS Graviton with Amazon's help. This is a cloud-based environment that is ARM64 architecture based, great for development and testing. And we think it's a great way for expanding the availability for developers to be able to use AGL, work with AGL, and develop on AGL without necessarily needing physical hardware. So obviously not it's not a real world automotive type of deployment scenario, but it is great for development and testing, we think. So stay tuned for that. And then another development is Toyota's contributed their embedded automotive Flutter solution. And we're planning to move the AGL apps to evolve them over to from Qt to Flutter. So this is underway and one of the goals for 2022. So Walt will be talking about that in his presentation. So stay tuned for that. And then another trend is Panasonic has recently made a proposal to standardize on VirtIO for cloud native AGL applications. So what that would mean is that we would use VirtIO basically to as a standardized interface so that we can interchange AGL between native AGL and cloud-based AGL. And it opens up a lot of possibilities in terms of development options. And so this is a brand new proposal that was made just recently. And so stay tuned for that. And you can check out the virtualization expert group for more detail. And then finally, I just want to remind everyone that, we do have a lot of expert groups and activities going on. So if you're interested in learning more, you can always reach out to me or Walt Miner or Jan Simon, anyone on the AGL team, and we can assist you in pointing you in the right direction and getting more involved. So please don't hesitate to contact us. Okay. Reminder to, at the end of the presentations today, we're going to have a live Q&A with all of the speakers from today. So reminder to don't drop off, stay on and at the end, you can ask all your questions, and we'll be able, we'll try to answer the best we can. So without further ado, thank you for joining AGL Tech Day, and I'd like to pass it on now to Walt Miner, who will be giving us a AGL roadmap update. So Walt.